calls are growing to sack this Qantas employee for wearing a Palestinian flag during a flight. Now, this comes as many people in the community, different organizations are talking about this issue and sharing, different viewpoints on how this should be handled. Now, I'm going to give you my opinion on this, which is, straight up that she should not be sacked for wearing a flag pin, in this instance at least, based on what we know about what happened. And I know all of this sounds ridiculous, but we have to talk about this because this is where the discussion has gone to in this country when it comes to, dealing with some of the tensions in our community when it comes to this particular issue that's happening over in the Middle East, right? Again, I have my views about this, but this is not related to that as such. This is more related to the fact that I don't believe that people who have expressed a political opinion or a view, even an employee inadvertently doing something like this, even deliberately doing something like this, should necessarily lead to them losing their job, especially if it's the first time that they've done something like this and been called out on it. Now, in this instance, it appears like it's the first time this lady itself has been, caught out in this manner, engaging in this type of activism. Now, if it keeps happening after receiving directions from her employer that, don't do this, we don't engage in political activism here at Qantas. That's kind of funny as well. I'll get to that later. So we don't engage in political activism here at Qantas. Please don't wear the Palestinian flag pin when you're flying out. Now, based on the news articles around this and some of the media coverage, it does appear multiple flight attendants were wearing that Palestinian flag lapel pin on the flight from, I think, Melbourne to Hobart, one of these type of interstate legs. Now, does that put people in danger? Well, some passengers, at least one passenger who has links to the Liberal Party in some fashion, has complained about it, saying that people felt threatened, or he felt threatened, and people generally would feel threatened by seeing someone wearing a flag pin or a badge. Again, my personal take on this is, if you're going to be threatened by someone wearing a flag of a country and that's going to kind of threaten you, I think there's larger issues at play there for other types of insecurities, perhaps. And people might not agree with me on that assessment. And I think a lot of this is being overblown, right? It's been just exaggerated beyond what it should be. And it's fair to point this out. It's fair to say that Qantas should address these things, but to call for this particular lady in this instance to be sacked over it on this first instance of her breaching their uniform policy, I think we really need to be more grown up and adult about these type of situations. Definitely, it is concerning to hear, and we're seeing this around the world in terms of employees working at different, especially public companies, being involved in types of activism. We've seen it at train stations when people are saying stuff over the loudspeaker. The train drivers or the conductors are saying certain political messages over the loudspeaker. There's also anecdotal type claims that Qantas, not on this particular flight, but Qantas other flights, they've said things like "Free Palestine." There's also anecdotal evidence that staff members were saying derogatory things to Jewish passengers as they're coming back from Israel. Things like this are all being thrown out there in the public discourse. Now, in terms of is there any evidence or proof for any of this? There isn't, but this particular instance of this flight attendant and multiple flight attendants wearing these Palestinian badges as a show of solidarity with Palestine has been confirmed. So if you don't know what I'm talking about exactly, I'm just going to read this article here from The Australian, and it's got Jewish leader calls for Qantas to sack flight staff who wore Palestinian badges. And again, remember, I don't agree with this sacking of staff members in this particular instance. The head of a leading Australian Jewish association has called on the national carrier to sack staff members who were spotted wearing Palestinian badges in Melbourne last month. Qantas is reminding cabin crew of their uniform policy after a number of flight attendants were spotted serving passengers while wearing Palestinian flag badges. In a statement sent to the Australian, Qantas said during a flight from Melbourne to Hobart, some of our crew wore a Palestinian flag badge. Cabin crew are not allowed to wear any badges unless they are a part of the approved uniform, such as a name tag. The chief executive of the Australian Jewish Association, Robert Gregory, told Sky News that political activism does not belong in aeroplanes. Just to stop there, I broadly agree with that statement. All Australians should feel safe while flying. If employees are found to be using their roles for political activism while passengers are essentially captive in the air, they should be dismissed, Mr. Gregory said. These incidents aren't isolated, and Qantas management should address the divisive political activism coming from their staff. So I'm not going to read the rest of that, but you kind of get the gist of what's happened here. And this particular lady's been photographed. She's been put on social media. It's been plastered everywhere, and everyone is discussing this, right? And she's responded, apparently, according to the media reports, this is her response on a political activism type group. Hello there. I'm praying you view this. I am a flight attendant who works for Qantas and a strong advocate for free Palestine. My photo is being posted all over Sky News Australia for wearing a Palestinian pin during my shift. I need all the help possible. I'm yet to have a conversation with my company and where my employment leads. However, if this jeopardizes my career, I need all the help I can get to fight against the person who reported me to the media. So that's her response. And, it's like an ongoing saga over this flag pin. And I think the issues that we're dealing with are far greater than this, but we're focusing on these tiny little things that can potentially cause some sort of unease and tension within our community. And yes, the company itself, Qantas, should be addressing this. And yes, now it looks like they've addressed it and made it clear to their employees, as far as Qantas is saying, that they should not be engaging in political activism during their shifts, right? It's not in their free time. It's the time when they're serving customers on the flights. I think it would be the same perhaps if they wore an Israeli flag or a Star of David and it made other people on that flight feel uncomfortable. Even in that instance, I don't think that particular flight attendant or service staff member should be sacked if they did not know that, for instance, that this was kind of not allowed or they weren't told about this. But now that everyone's been made aware, and this particular flight attendant or other flight attendants at Qantas want to continue to do this type of activism, well, then the company has a decision to make about disciplining their employees. And yes, that could involve terminating their contracts depending on their breaches. But generally, if you work somewhere, you have to abide by the rules and follow the rules. And the only difference in this situation is, I think I touched on this earlier, Qantas themselves are notorious, the company are notorious for being politically engaged in different, issues in our society. A lot of the times they're virtue signaling. A lot of the times they're involved in all manner of woke activism themselves. Right? We saw during the Voice to Parliament referendum that we had in our country. This is the Qantas CEO at the time, Alan Joyce, with the Prime Minister and a football player, and they've got their planes. I think they had multiple planes painted with the Yes 23 logo in support of a political position, a political policy of the Labor government. The company put their foot into it and said, hey, this is our political position on this, right? They do this, with things like Pride Month. They do this with, supporting the trans community. They will paint their planes and they will promote these type of political causes. I'm sure they may have given their staff members pins for other occasions as well. I'm sure that's happened. I've seen a bit of that commentary online. So knowing all of this, for Qantas then to turn around and talk about their own staff being politically active, this lady is just maybe sharing the spirit of Qantas and speaking out for things that she believes in, like Qantas do all the time, right? This seems to be a part of their ethos. When their main responsibility as a company is safely getting people from destination A to B on time with their luggage not being lost, right? That's what we want from our airlines. But Qantas has deviated into something totally different. And perhaps the staff members who are now wearing flags and pins and all this kind of stuff and expressing their own political views feel comfortable being like that at Qantas. Like, that's the type of company that it has become. Now, again, it's I don't know what happened before. I don't know if Qantas had already put a message out about this issue. We don't know these things, and these things might come to light. And it's not even really that important, really, is it? This particular topic that we're talking about, but it is so much in right now anyway, a hot topic of debate as to whether this person should be sacked or not. And again, I think, regardless of your views and positions on this, I don't believe we should be, becoming a society where we turn to sacking people, depriving them of their work and their jobs for their political views and stances, and for maybe making a mistake, right? Making a mistake. Maybe she thought she was doing the right thing by showing solidarity with a cause that she really feels close to. So in this instance, I think she shouldn't be sacked. I've said that multiple times now, but she shouldn't be sacked. And everyone just needs to, I think, just calm off this issue. Like, this is not really important, is it? I don't think so anyway. Anyway, guys, tell me your thoughts. Am I being too kind here? You might be thinking I'm being too kind here to Qantas and their employees. And look, I am very, I have a certain view of Qantas, and I've expressed that many times in the past, and I'm happy to lay it on Qantas, but I don't believe this is a Qantas-wide policy, and this is individual decisions taken by their staff members. But yes, it seems that they've so far responded to it and corrected it, and that should be the end of it for now. Anyway, guys, if you want to join along and follow my work, you can subscribe to me on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, Facebook, X, and I think Odyssey at The Real Rukshan. I'm also doing a vlog, so there might be a daily vlog, weekly vlog, I don't know. I put the first episode up today, so you can watch some behind the scenes where I talk about some other news stories as well. But this is my political commentary that I do, discussing particular issues that were being discussed in the community out here in Australia and around the world. So if you're enjoying it, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow along. See you next time.